Our Honorable Prime Minister has a shared vision for this country to be a developed nation by 2047. And it can only come true if you and I are working at our best, being at our best. But what's stopping us? A recent Lancet study estimated that poor mental health causes world economy almost $2.3 trillion every year, right? Resulting in poor health, poor productivity at the workplace, and it is estimated to go to $6.5 trillion by 2030. World Health Organization has actually estimated that India will suffer economic losses of the value of $1.03 trillion because of mental health conditions, right, between 2012 and 2013. And a recent research by ADP Institute said 76% of the workforce in India looks at stress as a way which is reducing their productivity. And the numbers are no different at Indian universities. In fact, 1 out of every 2 students is going through moderate or severe mental health condition. But why I'm talking about all this data to you? Just to show you it's not one person's problem, right? It is widespread. It's like every second person in the room. You know, in last 4 years of COVID-19, we have lost 8 million lives, but we have lost 32 million lives because of mental health conditions in the last 4 years, right? Almost 4.5 times of what we lost in COVID-19. It is a pandemic that we are living in, right? It is an epidemic that needs to be addressed. I personally got interested into the subject because of very personal reasons. When I was in college at IIT Guwahati, I lost a friend of mine to suicide. And for what? Just because she thought her grades were not good, she might not be able to get a good placement. Much before any company had really come to campus. And even at that time on our campus, we had counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists, but less people would go to them. Ki log kya kahenge? Log mera mazak to nahi udaenge. That's what intrigued me into the subject. I started asking myself, what is that I could have done differently to maybe save her? I started working. I felt a lot of pressure around me, in me, right? But people were not going out and seeking support. That's what intrigued me into the subject, and I really became obsessed about doing something about it. In this era, in this time today, where we are so connected, but we are connected to like and upvote and comment, I wanted to change that. I wanted people to connect, to be able to share their emotions. With that belief, we started out YourDOST as a technology platform, as an emotional wellness platform where people like you and me could anonymously 24/7 seek support from professionals, learn, discover more about themselves, access self-help, and learn about healthy habits, and in short, be a better version of themselves. Today, we work with 500 plus institutions across the country. We have helped more than 33 million people, 30 lakh people in being a better version of themselves. You know, by working with almost 150 educational institutions across India and conducting an assessment with more than 65,000 students across the country, there was something that came out, and I want to share that. 67% of the students felt highly stressed. 8% were chronically stressed. 23% were moderately stressed. And only 2% were under low stress. In the last 8-9 years of seeing this data, I am constantly challenging my hypothesis. Every day my hypotheses are getting challenged. One, right? My first hypothesis was students at Indian universities would generally talk about academic pressure, placement pressure, but to my surprise, our biggest category, more than 30% of the sessions are about students talking about finding it difficulty to make and maintain relationships, right, which is affecting their academic performance. Aman is a 20-year-old guy, right, and Air Force kid, led a nomadic life, moved from city to city. His friends also kept changing because they kept moving. He fell in love with a girl, right, madly in love with a girl. he had visualized them getting married. He has even met her parents. One day when Aman was talking to his then girlfriend, whole night they spoke, and towards the end she says, you know what, this is the last time I'm ever talking to you. He was shattered. He felt broken. He didn't know what to do. He wasn't able to process that, and he reached out to our experts. Experts provided him that safe space where he could share, they worked with him. They worked with him to help him accept the new way of life, help him cope up with his trauma. What is important to realize is stress is inevitable in life, right? It's like our heartbeat. It has ups and downs. That's what tells us we are alive, isn't it? So we all need to learn how to manage these challenges. Right? My second hypothesis was, especially during breaks, when children go back home, when they are with their friends, when they are with their loved ones, very less people would be reaching out for support. But it is absolutely the opposite. Students say they're constantly, when they go back home, they always say they're constantly being treated as children at home. Right? Nobody looks at them as adults and always tells them what to do. Rohit is a law student, a 19-year-old law student, and his parents are very accomplished doctors. Right? He says, I feel like nobody at our home has time for each other, and he feels like he comes from a very dysfunctional family. He says, I've tried talking to my parents many times about it, but they've always dismissed me saying, chota bachcha hai. Right? Small child, always being dismissed. He reached out to our experts. He found that safe space where there was somebody to listen to him, somebody to guide him, who was able to hold him, and he accepted and started moving ahead in life. My third hypothesis was, I was expecting that the students of the premier institutes of the country will be talking only about career growth and time management. But to my surprise, more than 10% of them are reaching out for support related to self-esteem, constantly facing I'm not good enough, others are better than me. And when you look at it, these were all toppers in the country, all class rank 1 in their classes, they are all put together. Somebody's class rank 1, somebody's class rank 55, and they have never been that 55 or a 20 or a 30 and finding it very difficult to deal with it. Right? And really don't know how to process it. And they say, when I talk about this to people outside my campus, they don't even relate to it, not even my parents. My fourth hypothesis was, I expected more young students, more undergraduate students to be coming out and reaching out for support, right? Moving to the different city, college life, very different than school life, probably away from home for a lot of people. But to my surprise, more graduate students, 80% of the graduate students showed 80% of them were under high stress compared to 60% of the UG students under high stress, right? And why not, right? Research is very stressful in nature. Research is abstract. Sometimes they don't even get along with their guides. They are at that age where some of their friends are getting married, some of them are starting their new jobs, and they start questioning themselves. Like I said in the beginning, right? Life is like a heartbeat. Maybe I want to give you an analogy. Think of us as a pressure cooker. That ups and downs in life is the flame. In the house, we could control the flame, right? But in real life, that ups and downs of the life, the external environment, we really can't control it. So what would happen if there is too much of pressure? The pressure cooker would burst, isn't it? So one way of releasing that pressure is through that whistle, the CT, right? It releases pressure. So talking to your friends, talking to your family members, talking to your therapist is a way of releasing that pressure. But think of this also, right? I'm a 5-liter pressure cooker. I can handle that much pressure. If I become a 20-liter pressure cooker, I can handle a lot more, isn't it? And these healthy habits of yoga, meditation, gratitude, mindfulness allows us in increasing that capacity. In institutes, it is critical to accelerate on awareness, reduce the stigma associated with mental wellness, provide the support to the students, right? 24/7 access to professionals, both in online medium, offline medium, provide access to the tools so that students could self-reflect, so that there are a lot of self-development tools, there are a lot of tools that they could develop those healthy habits, and actually they could be better version of themselves, right? While it is also equally important to equip the community to be able to support students to be better. Maybe I'll give you an example. I remember 8 years back, one of the faculty, very senior faculty, 25 plus years of experience, been teaching for 25 plus years. I have 2 grown-up daughters teaching at an institute of national importance called SWE. And she's like, I really don't know, Richa, how to handle a girl in my class who refuses to come to the class. She's in the hostel, I'm aware of that, but she refuses to come to the class. It's a humility to accept that she's not trained into supporting her, right? To accept that if she had more training, she could support better. You know, students spend more than 50% of their waking up hours in the college, right? It is important that we equip the peers, right? It is important that we equip the faculty members, the staff members to detect the early signs, early warning signs of stress, right? To be able to respond, saying, what should I say? What should I not say? All of them are trained, academic professionals are trained into academically, be it on computer science, physics, chemistry, math, but not everybody is trained into human behavior, right? So it's important that we invest, we equip our community members so that they could, with the right training from professionals, so that they could support the students better. They could be the effective mentors, they could nurture the future of this country. You know, in one of the institutes where we spent a lot of time equipping the community members, 10 out of 14 red flag cases. Red flag cases are cases where people could be suicidal, homicidal. 10 out of 14 red flag cases were flagged by the institutes. The classmates, the teachers, the number of PhD dropping out came down, right? Cases of substance addiction, cases of alcohol addiction were actually flagged, identified by the housekeeping staff, security guards with proper training, and early support was provided to the students. Another important stakeholder is parents. We have seen a lot from our data, right? It constantly says that students feel parents are not able to relate to them, right? Parents would always be saying, जब हम तुम्हारी उम्र के थे ना, तो हम तो 5 किलोमीटर 8 किलोमीटर चल के स्कूल जाते थे, 300 रुपए में अपना पूरा घर चलाते थे, यूज्ड किताबें यूज करते थे. When I was your age, I used to walk 5-8 kilometers to go to the school or go to the college. I used to have 300 rupees, and in 300 rupees we used to run the whole house, right? I used to use the used books. They need to be allies of the students. They need to be allies of their children, and I know every parent wants that, right? Neha is a 19-year-old girl from a middle-class family. She always says, I have a very strained relationship with my parents, right? They do not understand me. They are constantly policing me, constantly checking my mobile phone, or what am I putting out on social media, who am I talking to. There is no respect given to my privacy. And whenever I try talking to them, there is an argument that happens, right? And that argument affects me, and I've stopped talking to them, which has also affected me, and my grades have come down, which has come back to more arguments at home. She reached out to our expert. She found that safe space, a non-judgmental place where she could share, right? And over time, by working with her experts, she could also see the perspective of her parents, right? Their relationships have started to mend now, and believe me, her grades are improving too. In our experience of working with 150 plus educational institutions, one thing that stood out is one size doesn't fit all, right? There are students from different strata of society, different backgrounds. The reality for one might be very different from reality of other. So we need to have a very cohort-based approach. When educational institutions extend their hand, students find it a safe place. The results are better, happier, healthier students and definitely better grades and placements too. I just want to take a moment and say, mental health care support is not just for people who are stressed or depressed or going through anxiety or depression. It is for each one of us, right? People like you and me. Maybe we are feeling cluttered because of our relationship. Maybe we don't know how to do work-life balance. Or maybe a person like me with a 10-month-old child wants to learn better skills of parenting. Or want to have learn how to be more confident while presenting, right? Or it just could be that daily dose of motivation. Our approach is that we provide people the access, the resources that they could take that expert support while they could do a lot of self-reflection, discover, understand themselves better, have access to a lot of self-help tools and just go out and conquer the world. Today, when I think of my friend, who died by suicide, I feel like maybe if she had something like YourDOST, things might be different. While my journey started with a lot of guilt saying, why did she not reach out to me? I'm proud that it gave me the confidence and the perseverance in this journey. I'm also very proud of 1,000+ YourDOST warriors who have shared their stories with their photos, with their details, saying they want to inspire others in the community to come out and seek support and be better. I'm even prouder of 10,000+ lives that we have saved so far. I'm sure wherever she is, she must be proud of us as well. Thank you.